Well, what's up? It's Mr. Random, and we talk about, does history matter in movies? Does history matter in movies for story or storytelling? Does that matter? I would say, say 300, like the movie 300, or other movies like 300, or like the Egyptian movie, or like a top of my head. Maybe like movies like, I don't know. My mind's going to a blank when it comes to movies. Personally, I would say movies like the Lord of the Rings. Even though the Lord of the Rings is fantasy in a fantasy location, I would say the story is more matter than like the historically accurate of, say, swords. Say swords would go like that, they would be used like that, or swords would be affected in that way. It's a fantasy thing. It's a fantasy. It's a complete fantasy story, like the Lord of the Rings, or say Pocahontas, or things like that. That not accurate to the time period or accurate to the story. No, not saying accurate to the history of the accuracy of the history, but the story. Okay, the story. The accuracy of the history of it, I would say probably less matters, but the story is probably more interesting. Or the characters. The characters or the story they're trying to go for, I say it's more interesting sometimes than the actual history. The actual history, the time period, the accuracy of that. Like many movies talk about Greece or ancient Rome or Egypt or other stories, other time periods. World War II. There's plenty of World War II stories. World War II in media, World War II. Actually, there's more like World War II stories. World War II stories, World War One, stories about ancient Rome, ancient Greece, Egypt, the American Civil War. I would say the story and the characters can be more interesting than the historical accuracy of that. The historical accuracy of that time period, and the historical accuracy of what was done. The guns that were used, or the swords, the guns that was used, the armor, the person they're trying to play. Say, top of my head, Egyptian famous warlord Cleopatra. Cleopatra is, I would say, if the story is good enough, I would say some people are not going to care, but if you're a history buff, I say you would probably care for the accuracy, for those accuracy of those people, accuracy of that time period, accuracy of what's going on, and accuracy of the world around, at least for that time period, that time period around that year. But at the same time, you can get historical misinformation from that, from movies and other media, but I'm focusing on movies in this particular video about that thing, about historical accuracy in movies. Sometimes I don't go to a Disney film, or a film that's like history, but kind of like changing some things because it's a comedy, like a historical comedy, or history animated movie, and it's take like historical liberties with that, and it's always like the historical liberties, like, say, I don't know, like different food or different food or clothing, or different food, clothing, or maybe things that wasn't said, or things that wasn't fought over, or whatever. That could work for pure entertainment value, for pure entertainment. But if you are a history buff or a history nerd, then you will probably have an issue with these movies And these movies could spread around misinformation because of that. Can easily spread misinformation and false information. Anyway, bye-bye.